How's it going, David from Comic Book Investments? So, sad days. Sad days. I have a bunch of comics around me. I'm selling off my personal collection. Yes, my PC, as you guys would call it. I know for years, literally, I get so many comments. People are like, David, I want to see what's in your PC. Can you show your PC? All this kind of stuff. This is not everything. I have much more than this. Mostly more graded books than this. I also have a couple of this box full of like ungraded stuff. Like this box is full of just like these types of books, like giant size X-Men. Where's the giant size? There. Giant size X-Men. Oops. It's blurry. Okay. Giant size X-Men, Hulk 181s. You guys have seen, I have a crow, first crow in here. You guys seen my videos on how many Hulk 181s I have. It's more since the last time I did, which was pretty much a year ago. I got some Legend of Zeldas, which I told you guys to get. I got a couple of these. I like this book. Obviously Hulk 180. And then a bunch of Spider-Man 238s. I mean, yeah, that's kind of like the stuff that's in this box here. Just tons and tons of Hulk 181s. I have graded Hulk 181s as well. But this is not going to be a video of me just going through everything. I picked some samples of stuff. Here's another giant size X-Men #1. This one's an old label 80. But that's not what this video's. I mean, it will, some of it, but I didn't want to show everything I have because it would just take forever and it would just go on and on. So it wasn't any rhyme or reason how I picked this stuff. I literally just like, oh, this is closest to me. Like vicinity, distance wise. I don't have to travel very far or walk very far, basically. So that's kind of like what's going on with that. But I'll show you some cool stuff and I'll explain kind of why I'm selling my personal collection. I'm done with comics. I'm out. Done. Closing down the website. My life's work. Done. Retiring on a beach in a very cheap place that I could afford. No, I'm not retiring anytime soon. But yeah, just going to talk about, you guys wanted to see it, so I'll show you some stuff. A lot of stuff is at like CGC right now. I have a Wonder Woman #1 at, just the old, not the 1988 or something Wonder Woman. No, the old 1940s Wonder Woman #1. I have this Amazing Fantasy 15. That one's cool. I have two Amazing Fantasy 15s. There's one right here, so I'll show you this one. The other one's I think like a 5.0. Got a Hulk 1. This one's restored though, but a Hulk 1. Yeah, I guess like how I got this stuff, it was mostly just I would get it in, and I was like, we should hold this back. Let's save this book, and maybe we got a good deal on it. I'm talking we when I say me and my brother. Maybe got a good deal on it, or came back a really good grade. Better than expected. Usually it was like stuff that's like harder to replace, or things I thought were like a good investment, like the Hulk 181s. Here's another one. Here's a restored 4.0. I thought, those were like good investments, and I've campaigned forever. Like personally, I wouldn't sell any of these. I would keep them for a very, 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 very long time. Like this is like the type of stuff that we were going to keep. And then like when we decide to retire one day, this would be our retirement fund, basically. Just like retire off this stuff, Here you go. Phantos 4, #1, 6.5. That would be that. That's like this kind of stuff. There was no rhyme or reason, just good stuff. As you can see, the stuff I've shown you, all good stuff. Stuff that's highly desired, highly investable, highly collectible. The only ones that like we actively went after was a Turtles #1 first print. We have that. We're not selling that in our PC, but all this other stuff we're going to be selling. Yeah, it's it's rough out there. I'll just put it that way for the collectibles industry. And normally, so what happened was, I've been buying Hulk 181s and keeping them aside for, I don't know, since like 2015. So I have some in here that I paid like $200 for. And those I always kept back in giant size X-Men 1s and Spider-Man 238s, because I think eventually we're going to get a Hobgoblin something. So I just been, I get them $100, $200, whatever, and just hold them back. But, 2021 came, and man, it was a good year for collectibles. Just a great year. Made a lot of money, had a lot of stuff, sold it. It was a great year. And then, all 2021 was great as a business. Then 2022 comes around. Now prices have started to drop towards the tail end of 2021. But 2022, the first half was still pretty good. Yeah, they just kind of, they're going down, but we had a bunch of inventory, it was fine. Then about the second half of 2022 hit, and prices are still dropping significantly. You've seen my videos. I've done them where it's 50%, 70%, 60%, 80%, stuff like that. But the thing is, when you buy a book as a dealer, I can't be like, oh, the last one sold for, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to give you like a fraction of that because I know it's going down. No owner of that book's going to be like, you're projecting it's going to drop by 50%? Sure, then I'll give it to you 75% off, So then 2023 comes around, and we thought like, oh, 2022, the second half, it's fine. We made so much money in 2021. We can weather the storm. And 2023 just keeps rolling along, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. Now, in terms, I've said this before, but in terms of dropping, the worst is behind us. So most of the dropping happened in 2022. So if you had a book that was $1,000 and it dropped by by now it's like 70%, like 50 to 60% of that dropping was in 2022. So in 2023, that book really only dropped maybe another 20%. But it's the fact that it just kept going and going and going. It's kind of like a knife. It's pushed right here, and it's like, oh, at first it's fine. Oh, it kind of hurts. But then it just keeps going a little more. Oh, what do you know? It nicked an artery now or something, or vein. That's kind of how it was. It just kept going and going and going, and no matter what we did, it was impossible. I'll give you a real example. I bought a Phantasm 4 number 4, first Silver Age Submariner. I don't remember exactly what grade it was, but it was expensive. The last known sale, this was in 2021. The last known sale was $12,000. And so I was like, the movie's coming around, whatever. I paid the guy $10,000 for it. I mean, no one's going to like give it up for like $5,000 or $6,000. That's insane. They just go, no. So I was like, I gave him $10,000 and the last known sale was 12. So I put it up for, it's like either 14 or 15,000. And I was like, the movie's coming out. I think things are going up. That's what I thought, because things were going up. And then, no real sales, and it kind of went down. And then like the next sale was, I don't know, maybe like $10,000 again, or 11 or something like that. So it dropped a little bit. But, before 2021, it was always like you put a book up. If it sits for 6 months to a year, eventually most comic books just slowly went up. Like, look at the graphs. Every graph I've ever done. If you look prior to 2021, it's just like a slight little, like obviously the ebbs and flows, but over time slowly goes up. So if you had a book up, $14,000, the last one was for 12, maybe it takes a year and a half. Eventually someone comes along, you work out a deal. Maybe it's less than the $14,000. Maybe work it out for 1,300 or 13,000, 13,500, whatever. Eventually it'll get sold. But as time went on, things are just dropping. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna knock it down. I'm gonna knock it down to the last known sale, which was $12,000 or thereabouts, the last known. So you're paying top dollar, but not too much. And then usually people always reach out and we work out a deal. Time goes by. The price keeps dropping. So then I'm like, well, I need at least my money back. And so I'll put it up for 10. And when I put it up for 10, there's also fees, right? I mean, I have my website, but generally speaking, most of my deals happen through eBay still, as I'm building my website, especially back in 2021. So now we're into like 2022, and I'm trying to get my money back, at least just lose a little bit if someone buys it outright on eBay and I lose on fees. And then I was thinking, okay, the movie's coming along, Black Panther 2, Submariners, and it's going to shoot up. But by this time, the MCU started like dying out, and no one really cared about the, things jumping up as much anymore in price. So then I dropped it to $8,000. I ended up selling it for $5,000. 5,000 minus fees. Lost almost $6,000 on a single book. So it's that over and over and over and over and over and over and over, all pretty much through 2023. So it's definitely pretty rough. I've seen other people basically close up shop. The only reason we're able to stay in business is we've been doing this for 15 years. So we have enough inventory and been doing this a long time that we can weather the storm. But in terms of weathering the storm, we have to sell basically our PC. I'll show you another book. This book, I did a whole video on it. I got this from the guy who created, not Stan Sakai, but the guy who created Albedo, Stephen Galacci, his personal collection. Happened to come back in 9.8. I thought it would be like 9.6 or 9.4 or something like that. I can't remember. And so we're like, well, let's just keep it. And so it's a book like that, that I'm putting up. This Casper, first appearance of Casper. There we go, in a 7.0. It's just like things that we come along. Here's a great example. This one came along, got this. I don't really care that much for Luke Cage that much. And it was a 9.6. And we're like, oh, let's just put it back. This is probably a good book to have and such a high grade to put back. It's like that. There's no real rhyme or reason. Obviously, First Origin of the Joker, Detective 168. Stuff like that. I mean, I have other books than this. Here we go. Spider-Man 1. There, Spider-Man 1. But like I said, I have another Amazing Fantasy 15 somewhere. A couple other more rare books. But yeah, as time went on, and another thing is we were doing our website, our auctions for free. And, that costs money. It's not just our sweat equity, meaning our hard work. That, obviously is free. So it's working harder and longer. But it's like we have to pay, people to develop it, web developers and stuff like that. So that costs a ton of money, and web hosting and all those, a bunch of different little fees. Tons of little fees when you're creating like a big website like ours. And so, just like you want to send out like emails, like those emails that we send out, we have to pay like a service to house all that stuff and send out the emails. Like we make the emails, but to like send it out to all our contacts, that's a service we have to pay for. It's like all these little fees. So it's not free. So, we're technically, and also the first auction we did since we were new, we weren't charging people. So when you use PayPal for goods and services, like on our website, and just click commit, buy, complete payment, and then you go through PayPal and you hit pay. Our first auction, it charged us 3.5%-ish, somewhere around there, for every transaction. We didn't charge people for that, the very first one. So not only did we do it for free, but we lost 3.5% on everything we sold, unless people sent a check or like a bank wire, or I don't know if we had Zelle back then or if we used it. So we lost money. So it's like, oh, geez. And then like our shipping charges weren't accurate either. And so we lost a bunch of money shipping. So our first one, we lost a lot of money. Stuff like that. And, as time went on, we fine-tuned things, got better. So we're like, oh, okay, this costs this actually costs this amount, this costs this amount, insurance, all this kind of stuff. So we were losing money on our auctions, but it was fine because we were like, okay, we're just trying to build up good service and stuff like that. So that's pretty much why I'm selling my PC. Pretty much everything. The only thing I'm keeping back, I have a ton of Turtles #1s, a ton. Mostly all second and third printing, not some fourth and fifths. But selling all those. I have one first print. We're keeping that one. That was one that we actively wanted and tried to get. This one's kind of cool. This is a Bob Kane, like that I've had for a long time. Bob Kane original Batman art, like this Bob Kane. So COA on the back. I don't even know where I got this from, but original Bob Kane art and coloring. Very cool. This one, horrific. Like if I was buying solely for me personally, like things I would really want, it'd be like Chilling Tales, Crime Suspense Stories #22, Chilling Tales with Matt Fox, anything Matt Fox. I love his art. That's kind of like reminds me of this. This is not Matt Fox, but Invincible. number one. Here we go. Invincible number one, 9.8. I thought this, I was like, why not? I got this probably way back in the day for like next to nothing. Oh, here's a good one. Remember this one? I told everyone to go out and buy. Thought I was going to the next big thing. Turned out to be a massive dud. So I had a 9.8 to this. Probably paid way too much for this. But got a 9.8. And yeah, that turned out to be a massive dud and a failure. Here we go. X-Men 1, right? Yep, X-Men 1. How about another X-Men number 1? This is a lower grade. Another X-Men number 1. This is a 1.8. The other one is a 3.0. This one I've had forever. It was more of an accident that I actually kept it. It's Tales to Astonish 35. It's a CBCS signed by Stan Lee. And I can't remember why. I think I listed it, and then someone bought it. And we took it down. But they either never paid or they something. And so it just got stuck with the other ones in the vault, and then it just kind of accidentally kind of made it there and stayed there. I got a couple of these. I mentioned them before. X-Men 266 newsstand editions, 9.8s. I have a couple of these. But yeah, so that's pretty much why. It's been a very rough year. I've seen other businesses close. The big ones are obviously Ms. 5. They're fine. They're not going to go anywhere. But yeah, so, and like most of this is like so we can push on with the website and, our auctions and building on the website and continue to offer more services and more features and do more and more with the website. That's like our goal. And, that's, if we didn't have to pay for the website and the developers and all that kind of stuff, then, it would be a whole lot easier. But I really believe in it. I believe it's going to be, take me from just a random dealer on eBay to the next level. So that's why I'm hoping. So I'm parting with my, here we go, Action number 20. What grade was this? 2.5. I thought it said 7.5. I was looking at the screen. Another Hulk 181, 7.5. I have a million of these. I also have this, Earthworm Jim. Saw that, bought it because I wanted it. That's it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I like Earthworm Jim. But yeah, so it's I think the website's going to be, hoping is going to be my big hit. But yeah, so if I didn't have to do the website and pay for all that stuff, I probably wouldn't have to part with any of this. But it costs a lot of money to run, a lot of money. So yeah, it is what it is. I did this before. I had a personal collection that I built up when I was a child, and I worked for my dad. If you guys don't know, my dad was like one of the biggest comic book dealers when I was a kid. He retired when I was in high school, and then worked for Heritage, and then now works for CBCS. But he's huge, and I would go out and work for him. Like all my brothers and sisters would play, and I'd be like, nope, I'm going to my dad's barn thing, and I'd work. As summers, I'd go and work. I think when I was like 14 or 15 was the last summer I could work for him because he sold everything. So then after that, I did construction with my stepdad. I'd rather do comics, but my dad didn't have his business anymore. And I built up comics. That's what I did. My first car not my first car, technically my second car, I bought with a Hulk 181. Yeah, I worked really hard. I got a 9.6 at the time. CGC had just come out, and I had a 9.6, and I worked it for it, got it, and then sold it to someone in Hawaii. My dad facilitated the sale, and it was enough money to buy my first, kind of like my first car. I had like a truck before, but it was different. I got a Dodge Neon for $32.50. So that was a 9.6. That 9.6 got me my car. And then I came down to California, sold my entire collection to start being a comic book dealer. A few years later, I moved down when I was 19, started the business when I was 23, 24, somewhere around there. I can't remember. And so I've done this before. So I'm going to do it again. So it worked out to me first time. Now let's see if it works out the second time. That's about it. All this stuff will be slowly being listed over time, over the next couple months. Like I said, some of this stuff is off the CGC. Some of this stuff won't get back for a while. Other stuff is going to take time to slowly get through some of the stuff. I get other stuff back from CGC that aren't part of the PC. So it's just going to be in with everything. So I think actually that Albedo 2 and a couple other, and this Invincible and a couple other these books are already up as I'm literally talking in this video. So sorry, it's just kind of rambling. I didn't really have a direction or anything with this other than you guys have been wanting to see my PC. Here it is. It's basically this stuff, but more of it. And yeah, now I got to part ways with it. So goodbye. I'm keeping another book. I'm keeping 2 other books. I'm keeping I don't even know what it is. An X-Men #1, that J. Scott Campbell Rogue variant, where it's like, I think it's X-Men 1, where it's a green cover with this Rogue on it. I like Rogue, so I'm keeping that one. And there's probably a couple other ones, but that's pretty much it. Have a good day.